KCCA enforcement nets street vendors in smart city swoop. Light disruptions continue in the US over Omicron and adverse weather. And in sports, State Minister for Sports Samson Oboa emphasizes grassroots sports development.
Was brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN.
Hello and welcome once again on Sign Language. I'll be joined shortly by Elizabeth Nakakoni, and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. We're coming to you live on air and online from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. Now, the overall Operation Shujaa commander, Major General Muhanga Kayanja, has paid a visit and toured Camp Yua, the former ADF stronghold that was captured by the combined assault forces of UPDF and FARDC. He was received by Colonel James Kasule, the UPDF commander, and Lieutenant Colonel Mbayo Batuta, the FARDC commander, who led him on a tour of 8-acre camp dotted with numerous structures that used to accommodate ADF remnants and their families. While briefing journalists who accompanied him, General Kayanja remarked that the capture of Kambi Yeyua marked the end of Phase 1 of Operation Shujaa, now transitioning to Phase 2. Take a watch.
Kambi Yeyua, and that was the first phase of the Operation Shujaa. So we are now transiting into the second phase of the operation. We captured it with less resistance from the enemy. We charged a few things, PK, it's a machine gun, bomb making materials, laptops, and other documents. It was one of the biggest camps within the Eastern DRC. It had 624 people, according to the documents found within the camp. The challenge of the terrain, it's a very rough terrain, it's a jungle with very deep valleys and hills. The challenge number 2 is diseases. Of course, you know, it's a jungle and it has a lot of diseases, so our boys are getting diseases. Also the challenge of the long lines of communication from Uganda. It is fun. We have to supply by air because we are not using the road. There are no roads in Congo. That is the biggest camp we have captured, but along the advance there were some other small camps that we overran to reach that big camp, Kambi Yeyua. We are still in operations, and we are doing our best not to give them time. That will depend. It depends on our memorandum of understanding with the government of Congo. So it's about the ADF and other armed militias. If they become resistant, we have to deal with them.
Major General Muhanga Kayanja giving a more update on the captured Kambi Yeyua camp in the DRC. Kampala Capital City Authority has arrested street vendors downtown in operation dubbed Smart City, which was started 2 months back to crack down on illegal businesses in the city. Now, one of the affected women is a lady who some years back was manhandled by enforcement officers, but the mayor, Everest Lukwago, intervened and she was released. And Operation Smart City continues. Now, police have arrested a taxi driver and conductor of Katoke Bwaise Nabweru stage at Nachivubo Muse in connection with the death of a passenger in their taxi. The deputy spokesperson, Kampala Metropolitan Police, Luke Owesigire, says police is investigating this death because the deceased was found with a swelling on the eye. We have more in this report.
There was pandemonium and business was at a standstill around Nachivubo Muse, downtown Kampala, when a taxi that was coming from Nabweru Katoke Bwaise found a dead passenger in the taxi. On arrival, they asked the man, who seemed like a security guard, to pay taxi fares, but he was not responding. One of the drivers at this stage says his colleague alleged the deceased was a passenger who just boarded the taxi from some place as usual. The head of this stage, Nabweru Katoke, Noah Walugada, says he cannot tell what exactly happened, but his driver and conductor told him they have found a dead person in the taxi. Contrary to this information, the driver of the taxi, Semogere John, says the dead is a security guard at their parking in Nabweru. They were not aware he was in the taxi. The deputy police spokesperson, Kampala Metropolitan, Luke Owesigire, said the two, a conductor and driver, have been arrested to help police with investigations.
Apagu was found dead in a taxi UAU 859L that was traveling from Katoke Bwaise to Kampala City. It is alleged that when the taxi reached Nachivubo Muse, the taxi operators tried to wake up Apagu to pay the fares, only to realize that he was dead. Our homicide team has visited the scene and realized that the deceased had a swelling on the eye, an indication that he had been beaten or hit. We have conveyed his body to Chimochale Mulago for postmortem. We have also arrested the driver of the motor vehicle, John Semogerere and Bruno Maweje.
I'm Nafka Farida in Kampala.
Sad story there, and may the deceased soul rest in eternal peace. Now, the clock is quickly ticking to end of 2021, and in just a few hours, Uganda will be joining the rest of the world to usher in the new year 2022. Our news crew was in downtown Kampala to get the public's view on the year 2021.
2021 has been a year to reckon with for many people in all walks of life. But in contrast with 2020, some say it has been relatively good.
Okay, actually 2021 it was better for me because I saved like 600 in this year, but I don't know becomes 2022. I don't know.
Though we made some little cash, now it wasn't better because the other years at least we could make some good money during this festive season. Like people would buy clothes, like people used to go out. Now bars are still locked, like so happening places are still they're still down, so not made some good money, though we've tried.
The major challenge for majority of the public UBC interfaced with tell lack of disposable income. This is attributed to constrained economic activities due to total closure and partial reopening of certain sectors of the economy.
Sente ne sente zennyini tuzi uyinza okujja n'ofuna omutwalo togufuna tosobola gulekerako waka muntu mwana waka oba waka n'olekera omukazi waka n'obaako kyofunamu era tegumala sente okuzifuna kizibu n'ebyo zikola tebirina makulu kale omwaka guno gubadde muzibu nnyo.
With the government's promise to fully reopen the economy in January 2022, the public and the business community is upbeat.
To the government, if they can help us to leave us to work, let them leave us to work, because we can't go and steal. We have to work hard. Like for me, I'm a single mother. I have to work, I have to pay rent. My baby's coming to study, I have to also look for school fees, you know.
In a few hours, the world will usher in the new year 2022. Fireworks and overnight prayers, synonymous with New Year celebrations, are prohibited across the country. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Thanks, Dennis, for that report there. Now, Minister for Kampala, Hajat Misa Kabanda, has formed an organization called the Road to Rescue Muslims that's aimed at uniting disparate Muslims. Mr. Kabanda says Muslims allege that they have not benefited from the national cake, hence brainwashed to join forces of change. Kabanda says Muslims want to meet President Yoweri Museveni to air out their differences.
The Minister for Kampala, Hajat Misa Kabanda, has met the Muslim community of Namagoma to forge ways of rescuing Muslims that have been brainwashed to join forces to overthrow government.
Because most young Muslims are desperate. They think government has not done anything about them. They are lacking jobs. They cannot borrow money because religion does not allow them. Because for us, we say if you borrow money with interest, it's haram. So at least for them, they can't go to banks, they can't go to parish models, they can't go to Miyoga money because there is liba.
Minister Kabanda says government is ready to give amnesty to all Muslims that have been brainwashed.
So we've advised them to come out of the bush, to come and talk to us, come and talk to the president, come to talk to me, tell me their problems, then we shall discuss with the president, and the president will be willing to meet them.
Hajat Misa Kabanda met with women whose husbands were imprisoned.
Abalawatugamba twayagala okuwanika nga sumanje tugenda okuwanikira era nina essanyu okubaga nti abamu abakkiriza tugenda basabira babasonyiwe tutambule nabo era tubalina ekyo kyo kituufu tubakoze eki tubalina n'abali mu nsiko nga nabo tuba encouraginga nti temusobola kubanga olina emmundu 100 n'olwana litanka 100.
She disclosed that her organization has interacted with over 700 disparate Muslims who think have not benefited from government programs.
Abasiramu okutufuula bambega bammwe ne tumala okubeera bambega bammwe naffe abasiramu ne tusirwala nnyo ne twerabira ne Allah waffe ne twerabira ne akhira ne tubaleetera amawulire amakyamu. Abasiramu abava Nakasero, abasiramu abava ku William, abasiramu abava ku Kampala, abava Ekibuli, mwe mutwala information musemwayi mu iso mu jati teri mulala ate ne mutwala y'ebikyamu mujjukire yaumul qiyama mujja kunnyonnyola abantu abakubiddwa ne bayiwa omusaayi ne bafa nga bafiiridde ku mikono gyammwe ku nnimi zammwe mujja kunnyonnyola Allah ow'obuyinza okwo kunoonyereza nkukoze emyaka 7.
The head of the Joint Intelligence Committee at the Chieftaincy of Military Intelligence, Colonel Okeiru Kogota, says there is need of opening up communication between Muslims and government to address their concerns.
Tugulawo communication chekintu ekikulu. Arabia juzi CDF nayogera nti gendo demo okolo omulimo ogwo era kaakati ndi kukola omulimu guli gwe nakolanga officially. Era ne kaakati obubaka bwe muntumye olwedde mbwetise nja kubutuusa officially.
The Road to Rescue Muslims organization will traverse the country interacting with the Muslim community to improve their livelihoods. Sudat Kai, UBC News.
Butabika Hospital Executive Director Dr. Juliet Naku has advised the public to literally drink responsibly to avoid psychiatric cases that have sprouted and caused an overflow during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. She was addressing the media here in Kampala.
Mental health conditions have gone up. The numbers have gone up because of the difficult circumstances over the past 2 years. The COVID situation has caused a lot of mental distress among both young and old. And therefore, there is a lot of what we call the common mental disorders like depression, anxiety, and plenty of alcohol and substance-induced problems, as well as suicide. But these can be dealt with if we do the right thing.
Butabika Hospital Executive Director Dr. Naku ending that story there. Now, the two lockdowns, which have been a measure that were put in place by different governments to fight against COVID-19, have greatly impacted many Ugandans negatively by gaining weight, leading to overweight and obesity. Now, this has disadvantaged many Ugandans by putting them at risk of contracting diseases, including COVID-19, ending up in intensive care and striking a nerve because amidst the pandemic is an obesity pandemic. Let's have more in this report.
In 1975, World Health Organization has recorded an increase in the number of obese and overweight people going up to 3 times more. The COVID-19 lockdowns tripled the number due to unhealthy habits that included overeating, watching television, and oversleeping, sparking an internet sensation in the pandemic.
We've seen that from 1975, it's tripled the obesity, about estimated by World Organization that we have about, 2 billion people living with obesity, either overweight or obesity. However, it's a classification of people who are at the highest risk of these non-communicable diseases. For example, you have things like heart disease, you have issues like cancers, you have issues like hormonal challenges. These things usually stem from being overweight.
The managing director, Nella Philip Bagoma, has called on to people to boost their immune systems to fight COVID-19 among other infections.
Besides seeing a medical doctor, seeing what else you might be seeing, yeah? Consider herbal alternatives. Because we're seeing that research in this area here is we can't negate the benefits of these things. Everybody knows that if you take turmeric, it's anti-inflammatory. It's very helpful when it comes to arthritis. And that if anybody's BMI, that body mass index, is above 25, that person is considered overweight. If it exceeds 30, then they start the obese category.
Ugandans need to ensure that they watch out for their health in different dimensions for a healthy lifestyle.
Change of diet, change of lifestyle or anything will not help anybody who's not going to change their mindset. So you have to start by changing your mind, changing it at heart level, so that when you change how you think, you'll change the patterns which led you to the current body shape, the current physical state. All those things always stem from the background. Here at Nella, what we do is more of an approach which is holistic, focusing mostly on everything that happens in the person's body. We do not look at you as somebody who has come in and we say, maybe this is the problem, have the prescription, get out of here. Yeah? I would really strongly hope His Excellency, yeah, continues with opening up. Yeah, I feel like it would be really good for people's mental health.
Sharon Chomdisha, UBC News.
Eat and drink healthy, especially during this festive season. Uganda National Roads Authority will not compensate squatters on the disputed land situated on plot number 49 Mutungo Hillview Road. Now, this is after National Environment Management Authority ascertained that the disputed land is a wetland owned by the government of Uganda. Over 300 residents claim ownership of the disputed land from the alleged owners. Deborah Namamonde reports.
Following the prolonged dispute on 9.5 acres piece of land, plot number 49 Motongo Hill Road, it prompted State Minister for Internal Affairs General David Muhoozi and Colonel Edith Nakalema, the head of State House and Corruption Unit, to intervene. In the meeting of stakeholders, Minister of Lands and Urban Development has presented a boundary opening report.
Ettaka lino lyonna ligwa mu Kinnawataka wetland. Boundaries zetulina ziri administrative teziyingira wetland.
However, residents dismissed the report, citing some gaps. Although the Commissioner was given a chance to clarify on this issue, residents were not pleased with the findings, thus prompting Colonel Edith Nakalema to dismiss the report.
Ekikulu tetujja kuva ku mulamwa. Ekitundu wekigwa si bwe buzibu. Obuzibu buli kwabo abajja ne batulugunya abantu ne babajja mu mayumba ne bazimba mu bifo ebitali byabwe.
In the same meeting, Collins Oloya from National Environment Management Authority disclosed to residents that the said land is a wetland and asked for the cancellation of all land titles. However, this was objected by the area leaders and residents.
With that, talking about the chronology, we have planned to demarcate and restore these wetlands at the expense of the degraders. A number of plots which are here already been identified for cancellations of the titles issued in wetlands. Abali mu ntazi zijja bweziti ne ziweta ne zidonjinga ya Sudiru ne ziddeeno ne ziroka ziddeeno mama okujjako ng'ekizimbe kya Sudiru kimaze okumenyebwa tebagenda kukwata ku bantu bangu.
It is alleged that the disputed land is where the construction of Kampala-Jinja Express Highway is expected to take place.
Waliwo nawulidde nti abantu abajja wano ne bakebera basanga amayumba agamugenda bawano nga tebaneteekako akasolya naye kakati we tuyimiridde those houses are already roofed. Katusooke tutegeere ekyo fe aba gavumenti tujje tugambe nti wano wazimbawo naye toyina title gye bakuwa nemegenda gikansolinga n'aba lands. Bwe tumala ekyo fe aba UNRA tujja kuleeta oluguudo naye nga tetunaleeta luguudo tetugenda kusaba nga tetuna bitegeera ebintu ebyo bulungi ne tubisolvinga tetugenda kusasula muntu n'omu kubanga kiba kitegeeza ntuyinza okusasula omuntu ate nga si ye mutuufu.
In the meeting, KCCA was represented by Nathan Kasule, who dismissed allegations of permitting residents to carry out any construction on the distributed land, also confirming it as a wetland.
Era KCCA tesobola kuba muntu lukusa kuzimba nga tayina kyapa oba nga tayina ndagaano etuukiridde mu mateeka nga wa kibanja. So ebizimbe byonna ebiri wano biri mu bumenyi bw'amateeka.
In the meeting, residents and area leaders, however, expressed concerns over the insecurity in the area caused by the alleged owner of the land in question, Odai Stephen and one Mayeku Martin.
Mugende mu ofisi ya DPP ku Wakazi House efairo zaatulo emyaka ziri 3 kati up to now.
Basooke mutuule mwenna nze kyembasaba mutuule wamu mukirizanganye ekitta wanu byanfuna n'empalana.
UNRA erikwe ekitongole ekireseemu a bit of security in the area. One reason is okulwawo okusasula abantu mu bitundu naddala mu zone 10 zone 4 kiresa abantu abamu okuleeta obukompanya banoonye how do I enter UNRA okufuna sente.
Teri muntu yenna alina obuyinza kugoba munne ku ttaka lino. Babagambye nti no kitaka lino it's a wetland, it's a government land. DPC take charge of this place.
Colonel Edith Nakalema asked residents to maintain the status quo on the land as they work towards solving the issues on the ground.
So until the Permanent Secretary Minister of Lands, the Permanent Secretary Minister of Local Government, the ED NEMA and the ED KCCA, they themselves will come early next month to ensure that the question of boundaries is sorted, but also to ensure that there is no more illegal occupants on this land.
Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
Land matters there. Thanks, Deborah, for that story. Now, despite the fact that COVID-19 pandemic had affected various sectors, especially the roads construction industry in Uganda, this did not stop government, Uganda National Roads Authority and its development partners to continue improving the roads and water transport projects. The government, through the Uganda National Roads Authority, since 2008, have tarmacked over 5,000 kilometers, and UNRA is responsible for 21,020 kilometers, of which 27% have been paved. We have more in this special report.
On the global scene, COVID-19 pandemic has plagued many global contractors into one of the most challenging times of their history. As countries across the world, Uganda inclusive, introduced lockdowns to counter the spread of COVID-19, the pace of change for contractors was encountered with many changing ways of working overnight. Despite the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the roads construction industry by delaying projects. A case in point, water transport, several projects have been completed and many new projects commenced. COVID-19 having affected the global economy for 2 years, the government of Uganda, through Uganda National Roads Authority and the developmental partners, have tarmacked over 5,000 kilometers of roads. On this, UNRA is responsible for 21,020 kilometers and 27% are paved.
The network is about 20,020 kilometers. That's the national road network. The rest of the roads are under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Works and Transport and the local authorities. And UNRA's paved road network right now is about 27%. So the target is to make sure that we add another 10% by the end of the NDP, which is 2024-2025, NDP 3. So that's the target. We're working towards that. Despite all the challenges that we're facing during this time.
The head of corporate strategy management in UNRA, Engineer Charles Chizito, says, since the establishment of the authority in 2008, its main focus has been improving the economic growth of the country and fixing the traffic flow problems, especially in the Kampala metropolitan. For this, several road projects have commenced, and these include the Kampala Flyover, Kampala Entebbe Express Highway completed, Kampala Northern Bypass to be handed over early next year. There are also upcoming projects in the Kampala metropolitan to control the traffic flow. These, among others, include the Kampala Mpigi Express Highway and Kampala Jinja Express Highway projects.
Focus. It's been few areas, one of them being improving traffic flow within the greater Kampala metropolitan area, because we know that that is the main economic center of the country. That's where all traffic comes and lives as far as the country is concerned. A lot of transit traffic also comes through, so we have to ensure that most of the traffic that uses our corridors that comes through the city doesn't get any challenges or delays. That's why we have the target to have a lot of bypasses and expressways that are bypassing the busy areas of the city. In terms of alleviating and working towards that objective of improving transport within the greater Kampala metropolitan area, we have started a number of expressways. Of course, we're having started with Kampala Northern Bypass, which is being commissioned. By the end of this year or early next year, we should be able to get the contractor substantially hand it over to the employer, which is UNRA, Government of Uganda.
Despite the delays on several projects across the country as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, contractors have tried and completed existing projects like the Nyendo Bukakata landing site, Tirinyi Palisa Kumi roads. Others completed is the commissioned Wanseko Panyimora ferry to public use. According to Engineer Chizito, moving forward with development partners, they will consider local contractors in the upcoming projects, especially the oil roads, and over 30% of them will be taken by local contractors.
There are a number of other activities that are worth mentioning that are attendant to this program, and that is mainly the fact that we also started having local content as part of our development program. And we have, for all those major critical oil roads, we have 30% being undertaken by the local contractors. So that is something that we are monitoring and implementing very closely to make sure that we only don't develop the roads, but we also develop the capacity to be able to construct these roads ourselves in the near future.
The tourism roads are also expected to commence in 2022. Others already completed to improve the national tourism. However, Engineer Chizito cautioned the general public against vandalizing road equipment, saying that anybody caught in these vices will face tough penalties, not excluding imprisonment. Top on the government agenda with development partners through UNRA is the continuous commitment to revamp the road infrastructure in northern Uganda that was affected by the 21-year LRA insurgency. The Uganda National Roads Authority engineer in charge of Atiak, Ajumani Laropi Road, Engineer Okelo, says the 66-kilometer road funded by Government of Uganda and the European Union will boost the economic and social development of the area.
First of all, it will improve connectivity in this region, especially access to market for agricultural products, and improve accessibility and trade within the region. So, generally, the project will contribute to national core areas of development in Uganda and the country at large, especially regional integration and trade.
Communities living along the revamped and constructed road networks are grateful with the government's effort to fix the transport sector despite challenges of land disputes and delayed compensations.
Despite this situation which we are, of the COVID-19, but what Abubakar Construction Company are doing is really very good development. And where I'm standing, it is a walkway. But the problem we normally get here, the walkway.
Singana luli jinja road singana luli balukoze we bati singa utambula bulungi bago luli bulungi naye luli lukyalula.
The local contractors commend government for engaging them in the construction of the national roads and promised to deliver quality work and complete as per the contract despite the effect of COVID-19 on the road construction industry.
Then UNRWA has also given us so many projects and they are giving us more projects we have bid for. Then we have CAA, they have also given us so many projects, Ministry of Works. So on behalf of Africa, we are really grateful and hope for more projects from government. Then the other...
I'm Nafka Farida and Salongo Kasibante in Kampala. Thanks so much, Nafka and Salongo Kasibante, for that story. And of course, it was highlighting the steps the government has taken in as far as the road infrastructure sector is concerned. We're now going to take a short break, but we'll return with business.
Everyone deserves more this festive season, which is why MTN Momo is giving you more Secu points on your MTN Momo withdrawals at agent locations. Get 150 Senki points for every 1,000 shillings spent in withdrawal fees. More Senki points means you get more free minutes, more free MBs, more free SMSs, and more free Momo Pay shopping. To use your Senki points, dial *141#. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Raising voices.
Like other fathers across Uganda, I'm standing up to say no to violence against children. I commit to give my children a violence-free childhood. As fathers, we can make Uganda safer for our children. I promise to speak out when I see violence.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs.
My name is Suga Morris. I'm an Airtel Money agent. I'm from Chibuli here. That's where I operate from. I won 2 million shillings. This is great, guys. Go for this. This is for real.
The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
I am one of the millions of people who have been vaccinated. And today I want to ask you to choose to be vaccinated so that we can all go back to enjoying the Uganda we all love. A country that is one of the most entrepreneurial in the world with the most friendly people. A country where we can do business with anyone at any time. A country that is free of COVID-19. So, get vaccinated today in any of the verified health centers and let's bring business back to Uganda. COVID-19 vaccines are free of charge, safe and available.
Invest in your health. Invest in Uganda. This message is brought to you by the Uganda Investment Authority.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless. It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175*94# to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175*94# to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles. Valid for 3 months. Dial *175# and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles. Valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
The global COVID-19 pandemic led the nation to 2 years of unprecedented learning, disruptions and closures. Now it is the time when the country is getting focused on upcoming school reopening. This is not a time for despair. This is a time to deepen community engagement for safer schools reopening. Rural Broadcasters Owners Association (RUBA), in partnership with Ministry of Education, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, World of Bingwa, Teacher Talk Magazine, and Stanbic Bank will engage parents, learners, teachers, school proprietors through an inclusive National Safe Back to School Symposium. The National SB2S Symposium is a countrywide 3 days of deliberation hosted at UBC and aired simultaneously via radio stations and televisions from Monday 3rd January to Wednesday 5th January 2022 from 11 a.m. to midday. The speakers will include the Minister from Education, Youth and Child Affairs, leaders of teachers' unions, school proprietors, parents and private sector. The speakers will be supported by media personalities to convey messages in different languages as well as igniting conversations customized to geographical and social reach. Do not miss. Let's discuss safe school reopening.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it. Everyone deserves more this festive season, which is why MTN Momo is giving you more Senkyu points on your MTN Momo withdrawals at agent locations. Get 150 Senkyu points for every 1,000 shillings spent in withdrawal fees. More Senkyu points means you get more free minutes, more free MBs, more free SMSs, and more free Momo Pay shopping. To use your Senkyu points, dial *141#.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Let's have a look now at business news. It is less than 30 hours to usher in the new year 2022, with those restrictions on the usual way, with gatherings and fireworks being banned, and also a call on strict observance of curfew hours. Events promoters claim to have lost billions of shillings ever since the lockdown was imposed in March 2020 and appeal to the president to ease the restrictions on events.
Ugandans join the world to usher in the new year, with others in church, clubs, among other social gatherings. Unfortunately, ending 2021 and ushering in 2022 will be celebrated with restrictions. This is due to the fear of transmitting the COVID-19 disease, which has been a biggest bully in this year. Events promoter Balam Barugahari says this year's celebrations will be held with observance to the COVID-19 preventive measures.
It has been a sad year. A second year in a row, we've not worked as music promoters and the artists. We've not had our live concerts, the very, very popular live concerts we have always had because of COVID-19.
He adds that they have recorded huge losses in cash ever since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic.
So the loss to Balam is not only to Balam, it's to everyone. These fresh sellers, the vegetable sellers, all these people have lost a lot of money. So we have lost income on beer sales, on gate collections. People who make posters at Nasa Road and in Kuruma Road, those ones have lost tremendously.
It should be remembered that early this month, the police came out and banned all social gatherings and urged the public to strictly observe the COVID-19 control measures.
As pastors are also reminded that due to the uncertainties of COVID-19, all crossover prayers on New Year's Eve that is usually marked by millions of Christians gathered in churches to usher in the new year have also been cancelled.
David Asimwe, UBC News.
Federation of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises wants government to provide proper guidance to small businesses in this moment of economic recovery. The Executive Director of the Federation, John Walugembe, says about 12% of SMEs have closed due to limited demand caused by the impact of COVID-19.
With the hope of fully opening up the economy following the government-imposed lockdown to control the spread of COVID-19, small and medium-sized enterprises have been urged to reorganize.
SMEs need to be optimistic, they need to prepare, but they need to know that the process of recovery is going to take some time, and we've mentioned this. The reopening doesn't mean that all the negative impacts of COVID-19 will be behind us. It will simply mean that you'll be getting a boost to fast-track your recovery. People must be hopeful and go into 2022 with a sense of optimism. Inevitably, things are not going to be all rosy.
These SMEs are always hit at the infant stage by startup capital. The Federation wants government to expedite the process of Startup Act to support emerging and existing small businesses.
The Act is important to help startup businesses who are because at the moment, if a person starts a business, for instance, there's no mechanism to say you have a tax holiday of 5 years as a startup business. So what are we doing to encourage people to create new businesses? It's not there.
The recovery of SMEs and properly exploit the existing demand requires adoption of technology, though many stakeholders in the sector have limited digital literacy knowledge.
There's the issue of digital literacy. People must know how and why. You must handle issues of online security if there are fraudsters, cheating people, insulting people, left, right, and center. Those are all things that you ought to kind of address. It shouldn't become a tool for exclusion. It should be a tool for inclusion. Shouldn't use ICT as a barrier to keep out people who are digitally illiterate and so on.
Due to the effect of COVID-19 on the economy, about 12% of the small businesses collapsed. This resulted into reduced demand on several commodities and services.
Last 2 years have been difficult. Not demand. People are poor. They don't have money. You can open your shop, but you wait for a client for 3 days, and then you have to pay the rent. The rent has not changed. So this is a big issue. No business can operate without demand. The demand has been low.
In the preparation for the full reopening of the economy, unprecedented demand is expected, especially those sectors which have been closed, like schools.
SMEs need to find a way because they are the entrepreneurs, and once the environment is conducive, nothing should be able to stop them. So
this is likely to be affected by limited capital to meet the demand, though government recently released 200 billion shillings to support SMEs recovery. Abdul Nasili Lubwama for UBC News.
International news now, and we go to the US, where airlines continue to cut flights as rising numbers of staff are infected by the Omicron variant of COVID-19 and bad winter weather disrupting parts of the United States. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to hit the country, the US airline industry is suffering a series of negative impacts. The widespread cancellations and delays of domestic and international flights have taken place in the nation for consecutive days. Some US airlines said the main reason for the phenomenon is that the spread of the Omicron variant has led to a surge in confirmed COVID-19 cases in the country, resulting in a labor shortage as a large number of airline staff are put under quarantine. Apart from the COVID-19 pandemic, bad weather in parts of the US in recent days has also played a role in flight cancellations. Number of airline staff are put under quarantine. And finally, let's have an item on sports news. State Minister for Sports Samson Obua has emphasized grassroots sports development for the country to benefit from the abundant talent. The minister believes Uganda has a lot at its disposal but remains idle due to lack of basics like equipment and infrastructure. Here is our reporter John Barnes Sentamu with the details.
Government through National Council of Sports has intensified the grassroots sports development agenda.
But surely in a phased manner.
This project set off before the COVID-19 pandemic that derailed it, but has now been resuscitated and been to districts like Moroto and Kapchora. Those respective district and municipality sports councils were offered sports equipment like balls, which have also been received by Kayunga and Teso sub-region.
You are aware that as part of promoting community sports through the outreach, the National Council of Sports has been already to Karamoja and Sebei. Now we have covered Teso. Kayunga is a very, very special district in our heart. You know that recently there was a battle politically and the national resistance movement won. So for that matter, we are supporting Kayunga as a special district with 30 footballs and 20 netball.
The Teso sub-region balls were received by organizers of the Ataker football tournament that aims at reviving sports glory of the area.
The first core purpose of this tournament is to unify people. When there is unity, development can come through. Then secondly, the team also thought about creating a platform under which talent can be harnessed.
State Minister for Sports Samson Obua advised the recipients to put the balls to good use by tapping into talent of school-going and the community youth. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
It's coming to 6 minutes to the hour of 11 here in the studios of UBC TV. We've almost come to the end of this bulletin, but before we leave you, let's have a recap of our top stories.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Our top stories tonight: Major General Muhanga Kayanja visits newly captured Kambi Yua in the DRC. KCCA enforcement nets street vendors in smart city swoop. Flights disruptions continue in the US over Omicron, adverse weather. And in sports, State Minister for Sports Samson Obua emphasizes grassroots sports development in the country.
Was brought to you by
Everywhere you go, MTN.
And that's all we had time for. Thank you so much for having kept us company. On sign language, it has been Elizabeth Nakakoni, and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. But remember, 2022 is just around the corner. How do you get there? You must avoid contracting COVID-19, and there are only 3 things you should do. Wash your hands with soap. Remember to wear your face mask, and also do a social distancing. Thank you so much for having kept us company. Good night and see you in 2022.
As we prepare ourselves to celebrate this year's Christmas, I want to remind you that on the 10th of January 2020, all schools will be opened, and it will require all children, all students of all our Ugandans of school-going age to go back to school and study. We should be using this period to prepare psychologically our children to be motivated to go and study during that period. It's not an easy thing, but you and me who has that responsibility to counsel, guide, and encourage the students to love what's going to take place in school. We are also expected to make sure that these children are provided with all the essentials that they will need when the schools open. Therefore, it's important that we are not extravagant when it comes to eating, drinking during the festive season, because the schools will need your sponsorship. I would like to remind you that it's a requirement to be vaccinated. So all the parents, teachers who are above 18 are expected to have been immunized before the schools open. So if you have not taken the vaccine, it's important you do it tomorrow or before the schools open. You are aware that COVID is still with us. COVID is real. COVID kills. So if you have been asked to go for immunization, please take it.